Well, I've been reading actually a biography of Albert Einstein, which I loved and thought was a great book. And my reading is pretty eclectic. You know, you read magazines, Harper's or some of the news magazines or New Yorker, which often invests, 10, 15,000 words in longer form essays. And you really get a chance to get into a subject and meet somebody who's really thought about it. It's not just, a Mick newspaper kind of article of 250 words and, oh, okay, I can now go back to my distractions. I think I know what's going on. Well, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know what's going on at the end of 15,000 words. You, in fact, know how little you know, and that in itself spurs some interest and some appetites. Yeah, I'm very fearful of our dwindling attention span. If you think about it, the only thing that we really have is our attention. The work that you value most, the relationships that you value most, that I value most, have benefited from our sustained attention. All real meaning in the world accrues in duration. It's imperceptible the way layers on a pearl arrive, but it provides the same value. And how can we speak about these things if our mediums like television interrupt every 6 or 8 minutes to sell you 6 or 8 different things? We erode an attention, which is what happened if you went to the symphony, which people aren't doing. But if you go there and every 6 or 8 minutes they stopped and tried to sell you things. That's why I work on public television. It's essentially, it all comes down to attention. And just think about the work that you're proudest of. It was because you sat there and applied yourself all night. Maybe it was a term paper. Maybe it was for several weeks that you worked on something. The way in which you attend to someone you love. These are the things that have meaning in our lives. The transient stuff, the YouTube 2-minute stuff, the eroded attention stuff is evanescent at best. It's like skywriting. The first breeze comes along. It's gone. The worst thing a generation could do is try to speak to another generation with some sense of authority or certainty. Judge Learned Hand, which is, could there ever be a greater judge name than Learned Hand, once said that liberty is never being too sure you're right. So I think my advice would be that way. We're required to know who we are, to authentically understand what it is, as Emerson said, that inly rejoices. I-N-L-Y, what inly rejoices. I'm confident he made that up, but we understand exactly what he means. And we see too often in our own choices and in the choices of the people close to us that they've chosen things that are not what inly rejoices. To know yourself is really important. And then I think to doubt, to always add that extra thing, not being too sure you're right. You look at all the disasters in world history, and they come from somebody absolutely certain that they're right. Adolf Hitler didn't have a moment of doubt that the Aryan race was superior to all others, and therefore all others should be exterminated. He didn't have any doubt. What's great about a democracy is it provides us room to think, is this exactly the right way? I'm winning. I'm in control. Is this exactly it? And when we do that, we're better human beings. And that applies in every level you could think of, in science, in the arts, in music, in dance, in religion, politics as well. The liberty that we enjoy requires a kind of vigilance, and vigilance is not just anger towards people who are different political opinions of ours. Vigilance is actually restraining my own inclinations to be against the person that holds opposite views of mine, and to include them in a polity that is in fact essentially democratic. It is possible that we can lose this. We won't be the United States anymore. But this is the great thing we fear. In fact, I think most of the work I've done over the last 35 years is an attempt to sort of remind people of this aspect of exceptionalism that we have. What is this flickering light that we possess, and how do you keep that light from being extinguished? I am the father of 3 daughters, and I would be the worst father on earth if I could tell you which of my 3 daughters I loved more. I love them equally, and I have been fortunate enough to work in public television, so I can say with a straight face that I have endowed every single one of the films I've made with everything I had at that moment. Hopefully I've gotten better, I've learned things, but it doesn't take away from what your firstborn is like as opposed to your newborn. The better question, or the better answer, was one that Duke Ellington was asked. Duke Ellington's our most accomplished composer, more than 2,500 tunes, the greatest composer in American history. And someone asked him, what is his most important composition? And he said, the one I'm working on now. That's a good answer.